CliffCentral.com.
Welcome to Auto Central on Cliff Central, powered by AutoTrader, your trusted motoring marketplace. Please join us on the cliffcentral.com, or you can phone us on 0861 555 189. You can also go on this. You can also hashtag AutoCentral or at AutoTrader SA. So, welcome, George.
Thank you, Wilmarie.
Weekend.
Yes, I did. I actually watched the Formula One start to finish. Feel a lot better than I did last week. But to new cars.
That's fantastic.
And what we've done is we've launched our new TV ad, which 30-second version and a 1-minute version. I really like this TV ad. It's Angie's been through quite a bit of pain getting it to where it is. But
see it there on
yes.
AutoTrader at AutoTrader SA.
Yes.
All right. All of this since last Wednesday.
No, I mean obviously these things come. Lots of planning that goes behind that. So we're looking forward to a future in helping buyers and sellers reach each other through new car and it's climbing.
So the new car section, that's now a whole new concept for your users, because you guys have a big
site.
All
and
right.
For 22 years we were a used car classified listings portal, but recently we've got into new car because we are actually in the market for a new car. And so we've got a lot of audience there that want new cars, and so we've given it to them. Bring it up.
And is this where, am I right in saying this is where you can make those comparisons between the new vehicles as well, in terms of you can compare two cars at
our new website? We've also launched the research and compare part of the site, where you could do research from researching to new, which is really cool.
Yeah.
It's the first of its kind.
That's awesome. It saves that time of driving around, having to phone and do all those things. I mean, you get back to that just now when we chat a bit about on the review side as well. But just didn't you go to the Desi Raceway?
No.
Desi Invitational.
Okay, I saw quite a few posts going around. Tell us a little bit about it.
The Desi Invitational, well, first, hello, welcome. Chad Lookoff here.
We were getting there.
Our review guy here. I was at Desi Raceway, and it was the Desi Invitational. It's now, I believe it's the third.
Just to be clear, this is KZN. This is the new track still. So
KZN.
Okay.
And new is a relative term. The full circuit that Des Goodside has built there, and literally in his backyard. His house is up on the hill. This was his runway, his airstrip that he tarred. Invitational, so the drivers are invited out. They can apply for a entry into the event. So very select few drivers, top drivers in the country, basically just racing the clock.
So what was the involvement with AutoTrader there?
Well, we were sponsoring it.
Well, I mean,
yes, it was one of
up with Desi Raceway basically, and just bring this to the public. And did you help choose the drivers?
No, I wasn't. I was from a West Bank V8 background, so he's done a lot of serious
racing,
driving, and he's close. Today, and it happens basically tomorrow. He's put a lot of thought into this, and now there's building going on and further construction happening into motorsports. So he has thought about it, yes.
So do you feel that for you guys it was a well-supported, you're happy to be associated with the event?
Time Attack is not a rich spectator value sport. It is largely for fans only, so the numbers are a little smaller than what you're going to get of the sorts.
Yeah.
But the clientele that you have there are properly interested in vehicles. It's not just, dad is interested and watching it and they're sticking around for it, is an actual enthusiast, loves cars, loves motor racing, isn't just there for the sights and sounds.
So it's a valuable AutoTrader once again making a wonderful motorsport event. Chad, thanks for the invite.
You're welcome.
By the way.
You're welcome, yeah. Don't worry, we got several drag races. Now, sadly, I'm going to be piecing these videos together, because that was why I was down there as well, was to, capture these. There are going to be a few manufacturers.
His teammate. And
Did he come fourth or fifth?
Bottas, he came fourth.
Fourth,
Yeah.
okay.
And opinion is they should have changed his tyres sooner. Because if you saw Lewis Hamilton was the one of the going lap. He started to do blistering laps. And as a result of those laps, he passed both the Williams.
And like you say, you should have just let him go past and go get the points for the team then.
Exactly.
All right, so that's not very good. But but this Loader, the F1 Loader, used to be the latest Formula One. What is he? Multiple champion 2007. He's got this theory that it's not risky enough anymore, and also a lot of people are complaining that the sound is just kind of.
Well, I mean, Richard was saying a bit earlier that roar is not there anymore, and I must agree. The turbos that they've now coaching the race on Sunday, it was a little less enthusiastic, if I could put it that. But you've got to look at the flip side, I think, and that is they're going to push the boundaries of technology when it comes to electrical cars in the system as those cars go around the track. And I think for those reasons, it's a good thing. But I must agree, the engines have made a big difference.
It is at the end of the day.
Now, not only that, I mean, I was also against, them going the turbocharged route in Formula One. I knew what it was going to do to this. It's not all doom and gloom. Let's find the positives. So much of the modern day new car, passenger car technology that we have stems from the big that on turbocharging and efficiency and fuel payloads and that type of thing. That is just going to filter down into their passenger car vehicles, which is super efficient. It's already actually started happening. And we're going to sit with fantastic efficiency, fantastic power from small displacement motors, all big Euro 3. And after that, then just to bring back the dinosaur fossil fuel stuff.
But you got to agree, there's nothing like that
back and go to that V12. It was that howl, that Banshee style howl. That made it. That really did make it, especially hearing it up close and personal live.
Your juices get flowing when you when you
it's
hear
a
that
completely
V8 sound.
other depth to motorsport.
Absolutely.
So before we get to, I just want to make saying all for the new engines and the development, and it's all great for the manufacturers as well. But what he's saying is, now this is 3-time world champion, says there's too much control, too many rules, and no more characters. So I think it's quite valid, because the sport always needs a... Yes.
Well,
you remember him.
Niki Lauda was one of the characters.
Yes.
I mean, if you think of it back in the day, he was one of those that was just stirring it up. Him and James Hunt are those personalities. He lived in the era where the driver would step up to the car, still hungover, if not drunk, kill his cigarette, and then climb into the car.
Exactly.
And on a vegan diet. No, man, please, live a little.
But I mean, if he was my chairman of my team and he's saying this, now listen to this, only with the buttons on the steering wheel, that's quite harsh considering.
No, I'm not so sure. I mean, I've looked at quite a few of those. Corner at 320 kilometers an hour.
Of course, there's a speed difference now too, for sure.
Doesn't matter how many buttons there are. You've got to hit the brake at some point.
You got to let's take it back to even before Lauda's time and that, and when the guys were running on, let's say, bias ply tires. That was probably the most unresponsive tire in the world. Genuinely courageous. So yeah, tying in that there's not enough drama and excitement, that it's not risky enough, and with Lauda's thoughts on that,
that would be, let's find
And we spoke about it 3 weeks ago, showmanship.
Well, talking about risk, I want to now introduce. Now, I mean, you have 20 years experience in violent crime investigation, over 8 years experience in compiling crime profiles on vehicles, and you've done, since 97, over 800 vehicle hijacking scenes. So you've interviewed people, and you understand the topic of hijacking.
I think so, yes.
And hijack prevention. Now, this is a very sensitive topic. Where does this come from? How did you start all this? I mean, you must have a passion for this.
Many to go and do a driver training session at BMW Advanced Driving. I enjoyed the day tremendously, and as I left, I was offered a position there. So I wasn't able to subcontract to BMW. But then after a while, I enjoyed it so much, and I've got a passion for cars that I decided, no, I must go over hijacking. Not necessarily where the cars go anymore, but how can I prevent this? How can I prevent from being the next statistic?
Now, and to now, can we give a quick shock horror statistic just to say how much it's increased? What are we standing on now?
Well, if you look at the 6% increase in vehicle hijackings,
wow.
If you take the first 6 months of 2015, there's already another 21% upon.
Are you able to?
Well, you look at Gauteng, for example, you take short-term insurance numbers, you're looking at about 14,000 vehicle hijackings. Vehicles in Gauteng, we're looking at roughly about 5 million. So percentage-wise, or if you look at the numbers alone, it looks bad. But if you look at it, but it's not as bad as what people always make it out to be.
All right. So now, what are the factors contributing to hijackings?
Well, if you look at fact with our cell phones, that is one of the main problems nowadays, the awareness factor. You know, if you take Friday afternoon, if I can ask you last Friday, who only think of a crime like that if you've been involved in an attack yourself, a very close friend or family member, maybe you're a non-South African citizen, you know, that you do is in the security trade. Isn't it also funny, the closer you get to your house, the more relaxed you become, and 68% of the crime happen.
The hijackers know this.
Of course they know this.
How do they know it?
You know, if you look at a hijacker, for example, if the car stands still, I can attack you. If you take Friday, more cars on the road on a Friday, traffic peaks earlier on a Friday, we tend to be more relaxed on.
Because I noticed on the graphs that you have, is that a Tuesday and a Friday are the highest days?
Correct, yes. They are your peak days. You have to lift your awareness really on those 2 days.
But why Tuesdays, Richard?
A lot of people ask me why Tuesdays. I'll be very honest. The tracking companies and the police for the last 18 years of my career, I do not know.
Oh, okay.
It's shocking to hear that. But if you look at it, you know, college still drunk on Mondays. They do their paperwork. They do their scoutings and things. It's not the type of answer that convinces you immediately where you say yes. But remember, the 68% where it happens on a home driveway is difficult on a weekend for the criminal. He does not know when you're going to leave or come back to your house. Arrive home between 4:30 and 6:30 in the evening.
Yeah, you have a schedule.
Correct.
And they know
so it's easy in the week. Mondays, yes, they hijack. Tuesdays are high.
So 68% of hijackings occur in a driveway?
Correct, yes. Not necessarily your own home driveway, but there's a driveway somewhere in the store.
To get the vehicle to slow down and stop.
Correct.
So that they can do their hijacking.
Yes.
Now, but on that topic, I mean, is there different types of
hijacking where the guy will, for example, go for the cargo? He'll go for personal use of the car. Body parts and spares, for example. They'll go for vehicle for body parts and spares.
Body parts?
Rotten scrapyards, panel beaters, and so on. Where
I just thought
in the car.
If you guys would know this, South Africa, they claim, is between second and third place of the most vehicle accidents. Your panel beaters and so on. The corrupt factor. How many of those guys actually, when it comes to the point, am I going to pay 80,000 rand between 18 and 20,000 rand? Body parts and spares, you can chop and change to your heart's desire.
And the common term for that is chop shop.
Also say different. You referred back to cargo. Would that be more on the trucks?
More on the trucks, like your cigarette companies, fuel companies. If you really go and investigate this, it's a lot of times inside, where the person will, for example, have a colleague of his or a friend. He claims back from the insurance, so it's a win-win for both parties. You know, give me 6 rand a litre. I'll dump 100,000 litres, I make money out of you, I claim. So it's double win for that person. So a lot of these, where the fuel especially gets taken, you have to really look at that case. There's a case within a case.
So that, I just want to know, I was just thinking here quickly, what percentage of that of overall hijackings are actually fraudulent.
100 of those cases away, easy. Where the people claim they got hijacked for insurance purposes. Give me an example.
Fraud,
A person 2 years ago got a nice job, down the line he loses his job. Now the last thing this youngster wants is to have a bad name at the bank. So before he starts getting into financial difficulties, you do get these young place. So you do, I believe in Gauteng as high as about 800 easy.
Which is quite substantial.
That's quite a big number.
But now that pushes statistics up. Did a case once where a pastor, this pastor, yes, from church, he actually stole 37,000 rand from his own church.
Very sad.
Yes, it is sad.
So now, I mean, Richard, let me ask you this. Hijackings, everyone knows hijackings.
Most commonly in a hijacking, they come with their handguns. You know, I've heard stories where they claim they use an AK-47 or so. AK-47 is a bird, or you get your guys transporting the money and stuff. But normally, it's either your revolver or your pistol. They come normally in three, the hijackers, the private searcher.
And the modus operandi of the hijacker nowadays. I mean, what are the top 3 or 4 boxing you off, etc.? What are the 3 or 4?
Most, as we already said, home driveways. They like to stop behind you, box you, and you've got nowhere in the front, give you a little bump from behind, or the man is on foot. And then maybe at a parking area, even where they put items under your vehicle's wheels, for you to drive into it, make an accident. That's more to steal out of the motor vehicle. Even blue light techniques nowadays.
Yes, I actually read about.
Also remember is there's a 37% increase in house robberies where they like to follow people home Friday afternoons after work, Saturday morning from the Hilux D4D or Ford Ranger T6, Isuzu Amaroks. They follow you home. It's like a normal hijacking. They hijack you in your driveway. They force you in your hi-fi, your microwave, whatever the case might be. So hijacking goes over into house robbery, and that's my biggest fear.
Yeah, because now they know it's not enough anymore.
You've been talking quite a lot about them following their potential victim. And just before we started, you mentioned filling stations near to on-ramps. Tell us a little bit about that scenario.
If that near off-ramp from a freeway has got a filling station within about 500 meters. Let me give you an example quickly. I task you guys, I say, listen guys, Saturday morning, you're not going to excuse yourself from the show now and say, listen, I must go and look for one. All you need to do is go to a certain area. The robbers know, if you say Toyota or VW brand, that we go Centurion, we go Pretoria East. If you say, for example, Porsche, you go Bryanston Fourways area. They'll nowadays, you know, like the little shops and shops. They sit there, they wait for their target vehicles, and they follow you home. It's as simple as that. How many white for between 4 and 6?
Quite a few.
300-400. Of the 300-400, how many are white in color? About 200. All I need to do is follow the person attention. Wait till you put your indicator on, or you turn, box you in, and I take the vehicle.
So how do you notice somebody following you?
What I Tuesdays and the Fridays, but especially those 2 days. The first filling station you come across as you've exited the freeway on the off-ramp now, have a look. Just make a mental note. Check the center mirror again. If you now think somebody's following you, you know you've driven for 3-4 kilometers and you still see the car behind you a couple of times, play with your indicators if you have to. You see the traffic light coming up. Indicate left. Move your car over to the left. What's that car doing? I want them to lead. What more reason do you need? 90% of the time, the statement we get back from the victims is they came from nowhere. You cannot come from nowhere. Let me give an example. You sitting at the filling station this afternoon, you see a vehicle driving past. I see the left back corner of the vehicle. There's a child inside the car. The child's like that. Mommy is on her way home. Mommy has picked up child at the creche. Mommy is not seen child for 9 hours. Mommy's not telling the baby from the off-ramp to your house cannot be more than 10 kilometers. What's mommy's awareness? 0. First thing mommy says to me after the crime is they came from hanging around the filling stations. They use it as a base and they operate from there.
So Richard, I mean, so what you're saying is there's distractions.
Correct.
So you're going to have people in the cars, you can distraction. What else is distracting us from being aware of these things?
You know, I know we think of them in C anymore, but I want the people to start getting into a habit. When you drive home, at least about 2 kilometers away from home, focus on your surroundings. Start educating your kids. For example, when you get home, it's the child's task to say, Mommy, before we go in, the dog must say hello at the gate. You know what we forget is 18. The child wants his first motor car. If you can financially help the child, you're going to buy the child his first motor car. If we look at how crime is increasing, specifically the kids involved, I don't say scare them, but we have to start educating them.
So why you say the dog? Because if they're not there, then there's something wrong.
You know, if you have dogs at home, the reason why I would like to see the dog before I open the gate is for that dog to show me with body language, there's no surprises waiting. Try and position your vehicle in such a way that you've got 3 escape routes. So you stop horizontal in the street. It's open and you've entered. You want to enter. You want to stop your vehicle immediately. As soon as the backside of your car is in, you want to stop. The mistake we make is we allows them time to enter, and the deeper in you go, the deeper the criminal has to follow. My objective here is if anything goes wrong, let's limit this. Something now does go wrong while you're waiting for the gate to close. Do you now run towards your house as a safety point or try and get to the street as quickly as possible?
I think the house would be a wise
It's
one.
easy now because we're in a group. We're discussing it now. It's easy for us now to say, but no, I'll go to the street. But when you're in a situation, security gate, where's the panic buttons and stuff? Get to the open. If they follow you inside the house, they've got time to work with you. And that's my biggest fear. You know, like one of your kids, they separate parents from kids. They take the child down the road. They go and draw your money out of the ATM. The problem now is when that little piece of paper comes, it gives them an idea for how long they'll detain you for. We've done cases where they've grabbed people on a Friday afternoon between 4 and 6. You know when they release Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday. It's my biggest fear.
And they're forcing you not to phone the police because they have your kids.
So I want to stop, have 3. As soon as I'm in, I want to stop. That gate must close immediately behind me. The deeper in I go, I'm pulling them towards my house.
Richard, I want to get back to the topic. Ian, who says, we bought a new Ford Ranger in March. It was hijacked 2 weeks ago. I had a tracker unit fitted. Within 15 minutes, these guys managed to find mine as a car. This was from the blue light guys. Any advice on what we could do to avoid this from better tracker help? And then also, what are these blue light guys? Who is it and what should you do?
All right,
to avoid them?
Let's start first with a tracking system car. They're not. But a lot of people look at this as a grudge purchase. I'm buying a car over 250,000 Rand. The insurance wants me to put a tracking system in the vehicle. Do your homework. Let the tracking system work for you. You must be able to log in on the internet and know exactly where the vehicle is at all times. Want to go elsewhere? I'm not saying you're spying on them, but the day something goes wrong, I want to know where that person is. When you look at blue lights for the day, like Friday afternoons between 4 and 6, it's not funny in Gauteng to have about 30 cases where they follow you with a blue light. The criminals are normally piggyback on the most common mistakes people make or the most common traffic law that people do not comply to, and that's people on their cell phones. Talk to any cell phone frequencies at their busiest. They're going to all come and say Friday afternoons between 4 and 6. You're stuck in peak hour traffic. Now you see you're on the cell phone. You target upper class little cars like your new 3 Class BM, your C Class Mercs, cars 300,000 and upwards. They also know your rep has lapped in. The objective is to use the blue light to force you off the road. The law says clearly in South Africa you are allowed to keep on driving, but the law also in an SA where a lot of the young policemen are a little bit unsure how to interpret Article 49 of the Criminal Procedure Law. What I mean in layman's terms, it must be very clear and very understandable. Now, you know, you woman alone, you're driving 10 o'clock tonight, there's a car with a blue light behind you, you read the news that you're doing 130 in an 80 zone. I am a policeman. What am I starting to think? You're running away. So the message you send back must be very clear and lights on, hand out the window. The law says clearly you are allowed to keep on driving. I do not say go to the nearest police station. You might not know where, hospital, fire station. If you select the filling station, I hear people give advice. They say you must stop in the middle of the filling station. I like the idea. Supermarkets.
Isn't there cameras and things?
The surveillance footage is always the best at the entrance, even if you stop on the disabled parking. And take advice from me, I'm cross. I know you're upset. Be friendly. I'm sorry, officer. Because of all the crime, I got scared. I'm sorry. You diffused the situation. On speed dial, and you're just throwing more petrol on the flame. Just be friendly. I'm sorry. By law, you are allowed to keep on driving.
So to be police, and sometimes they would even flash their badge, apparently.
Correct.
So that's also not good enough?
No. Blue light you buy at flea markets nowadays. Boxburg, Brand, you can buy a blue light. And we've also done cases where some of the policemen rent out their stuff to criminals.
Oh, my word.
So what is a bit shocking is we up a vehicle. So even we as policemen get confused. We're not sure, is this a real police car or is it not? That is scary.
So you basically, the wrist
That's it.
goes close to the camera section that you can, and then diffuse the situation as best you
But
can.
it's easier said than done. You know, every case where there is no filling station nearby, you know, what do you do in a case like that? If you've got a tracking system in the vehicle, press the panic button. Vodacom have got emergency numbers, the 10111, phone, make contact. The problem is we sometimes in deserted areas behind you must stop. But things have changed in SA. You are allowed to keep on driving.
So people should have those emergency numbers on them in a case like this. If they
I think it comes back to situational awareness and knowing what to do in particular situations, which means that it happens. We've got to actually think about it before it potentially happens.
But now part of the thinking, George, what you're saying now I think is very valid on this, which again, I mean, we're always enforcing on the show, we're saying how good it is to do training, driver training, where this is just a might help a little bit in that panic situation that you almost go into something that's familiar, then nothing.
Correct. Yes, we do a 3.5 hour. Every most common used technique is discussed in detail. I'll give you an example. Home driveways takes me about 45 minutes to discuss. Then you cover example, try and save the dog. Traffic light stop signs, that's another half an hour where every possible technique most commonly used is discussed in hijacking. In the event of this crime taking place, how do I give my vehicle away in a non-threatening manner, making my body a smaller target? How do about 3.5 hours?
All right. I want us to chat, if we can talk on a review, but I want to get back to the kids in the car. If they do take them, what do we do? Chad, tell us a little bit about the Volkswagen Polo GTI.
Polo GTI week. That
currently 189 on AutoTrader's site. 189 Polo GTIs.
Oh, wow.
If you want yourself a Polo GTI, go visit
this one just yet, because this is the new one. So this is no longer the 1.4.
But tomorrow maybe.
This is, no. Shortly you'll be able. Some would say. But no, they are, yes, and they are available. And I think that this new one is going to ruffle a couple of feathers. I don't want to say outgoing model actually, because it's still the same one. It's still the 5th generation Polo GTI, and social media had a little bit of a hoo-ha. This is the Polo 7. No. It was released at the same time as the Polo 7, as the Golf 7, sorry, but it is only the 5th generation of the Polo in there. But just to clear up that Mactan Malela, he was saying, is this the same? What is the same as the 5th generation? Is this a Polo? But they've updated it. They've given it a bit of a refresh.
What is your update? What's the refreshing side of it?
Appearance-wise, let's start with the appearance. Appearance-wise, at the back, there's cherry tail lights as well. So now it's full cherry tail lights. You don't have the two-tone tail lights at the back there. There's also an integrated roof spoiler. And the previous model had a small little side skirt down it. Now it's got proper full flares, almost like a full body kit on it. Front bumper's been revised. It's got donating the road. And it's a couple of little changes to the grille, and then on the fenders they've got some GTI branding. But that's not where the biggest changes are. The biggest changes actually come 0.4 TSI motor. Now there was a twin charge motor, which means that it had a supercharger and a turbocharger. 132 kilowatts, which is impressive from a little 1.4. Driven nicely, you're going to get the frugality of a diesel motor. Put your foot down, and it's going to... Duncan's liking this.
AutoTrader looking for...
Yeah, you see the 2015. It's a good-looking car. And that was making 132 kilowatts. Now, as I mentioned, 104 GTI was making from its 1.8-litre 20-valve motor. And then we were saying, wow, they've gotten 132 kilowatts out of it. I mean, this motor only made 110. With the twin charging, you had the supercharger, which gave you fantastic low-down torque and power, and turbocharger would take over later on in the rev range, so it was almost seamless. It was a beautiful turbocharged motor. It only makes a little extra. It makes 9 extra kilowatts, 141. Torque is still the same, and that's going to be wetting it to 250 Newton meters. They could make more, and they will make more, because there's a manual version coming later on in the year. Before the guys hop on this yet, all we've been told is later in the year. We're going to get the manual version. In 2015,
okay.
In 2015, later this year.
Soon, no.
Or 3-4 months away.
That's
Let's go with that.
Though.
And they say that the manual version is going to have 320 newtons. That's the same car with 70.
Give it such limitation.
I don't want to say it's soft, but it does have its limitations. It's running it. It's a dual clutch gearbox. It's soft. It's just the operation of the clutches that will prematurely wear if you try and put too much power through it. And of course they don't want that. They want to say single straightforward clutch. It'll be a
directly engaged, and you put your foot down and the power goes straight to the wheels.
Yeah. Now you have VW that's saying, okay, well that's 70 Newton performance figures. They're going to stay the same. I'm sorry, what? 70 Newton meters. You're going to feel that. You know, it's like a small city Golf. That through the shifts. But anybody that knows their way around a manual gearbox, is going to be able to get that car quicker off the line,
So I
and he's
think
going to be just as quick through the gears, and if
or the professional gear changer, but the average driver is going to do better with that DSG then, I think.
they're saying that it's going to be the same. They're saying that the performance is going to get a lot of flack for it, but I still don't believe that the DSG belongs in a performance VW.
Well, Chad, thank you for that. So, I mean, that's a
Video is up if they want to go and take a look at it on the AutoTrader website, also on the YouTube channel, and we've shared it through the social media channels as well. So if you go and like AutoTrader on
Auto Central page on Cliff Central as well. So you'll find the reviews there. So thank you for that, George. On the driving social,
we got quite a lot of interaction with this Polo GTI, and the first one that I saw was the mention of the transmission and see how faster it will be compared to this DSG. Well, you can wait till the end of the year and you can test it for yourself.
So he's on the right track.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Ryan says
Ryan is confusing his Golf with a Polo.
Okay.
Oops.
Okay, and Lindes says a small car like for a Ford Ranger. That's a bit of a.
But I do agree. This is coming in. This Polo GTI is now a little more expensive, but I do agree. This is now beneath it. So they're coming in with the Up and the Vivo and that type of thing, and they feel that they can inflate the price. You're looking at $326, I believe it is, for this GTI now. And that
26 on AutoTrader right now.
They have
there we go.
Yeah. How many, George?
No, I was saying that it's going for 326,400
there you
rand.
go. Yeah,
So they've obviously taken the decision to up the price for a reason, but I mean, they have a following.
And that's why they
have a massive following.
And it's a safe buy as well, because you do know that it's going to retain its value. And because of that, the manufacturing and the value behind the brand.
Awesome. So guys, join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter at AutoTrader SA, and remember to use comments on the Polo. By all means, give it to us. And on the next review, what are you reviewing for next week here, Chad? Jumping the gun, or am I safe to say?
No. The Golf SV. Yeah, the Golf SV is actually going to be out possibly tomorrow or Friday. That will go live there. So we get a little to be reviewing over the course of this weekend. Surprisingly enough, too. The one is already a bit of a shocker for me. I received it today, and I came here to the inside. What a fantastic drive!
It's a mommy car.
Well,
it is, but and extremely versatile. And I actually feel bad that my initial.
Okay, so tell us what you think of the outside and the inside compared to Chad's version. So they can, from today or tomorrow?
Well, the V, it's in a similar vein, believe it or not. The Golf SV will be on the site, live on the site in a few moments' time. Or, tomorrow. They are.
Now, Richard, back to quite a serious topic with you. We were saying just now that it happens that sometimes kids are in the car, your little ones in the back.
Let's first start off with, let's say, roughly about 29,000 vehicle hijackings in South Africa. That's now trucks, delivery vehicles, where kids were actually taken with. Remember one thing, the hijacker's objective is not to take the child with, because if he touches a child, especially if it's a child, it comes together. You know, you leave your house between 6:30, 7:30 in the morning. You arrive home between 4:30 and 6:30 in the evenings. Police shift change the station during the time when you get home. Everybody works together. If there's a child inside the motor car, a lot of parents actually like it. But you know, as we get older, our figures get fuller. It's not that easy to squeeze between seats anymore. If the child sits in the back, most parents play is when people jump out of the motor cars to retrieve their kids, they want to run around the vehicle. There's way too much time wasted, and this just save your child if you cannot save yourself. Save yourself first so that you can save your child. As soon as you are out of the vehicle, the door, right leg and foot, try and step into the motor car if you can. The reason for that is you've transferred more than 60% of your body weight into the motor vehicle. Placed body weight inside the car, the vehicle will throw me where the body weight is. The mistake we make is we stand with our feet on the outside, bums in the air, we're not connected.
Isn't it then as a preventative measure better to place your child behind you in that seat behind?
Or vehicle collisions than there is hijackings. As soon as you put the child behind you, you're going to do the same amount of time and effort, because you're going to open the door and any meter further. If you place the child behind you, you're going to start fiddling with the center mirror because you want to see what your child is doing behind you. So your concentration is.
What happens if they don't give you a chance to grab the kid, or can you actually negotiate? I mean, what do you do if
from a pair over? You will talk talk non-stop, my child, my child. The only time they will take a child with is either if they didn't know there was a child inside the motor, scene happens. While they're busy hijacking, a neighbor comes running across the grass with a gun. A security vehicle drives past the house, with the hijacker now is panicking and drop the child off where it's safe somewhere. They 9 out of 10 times like to drop the kids off where it's busy. Somebody finds child, notify the authorities at places where they take kids with, but it's not to harm the child. It's purely something went wrong. They want to get out of the danger area as quickly as possible.
So and you're not wanting to hog the key, you'll give it, you just want
your child. Yes.
Now on a terrible topic, but let's it's not the hijacker's intention to shoot you.
No, it's not. If you look at just how you climb out of the motor vehicle, you know, if you take, for example, your big SUVs, we South African men, we like our buckies and our SUVs. That vehicle is high. If you go and you unlock also the place where you'll place a firearm, if I scare you, one tends to get a muscle contraction, you know, so you're dealing with a youngster more nervous than that noise there. What's that sound there? So now you start dropping your right hand. If he gets a fright, and that muscle contraction takes place, the finger might be on no threat to him whatsoever. With your left hand, the non-gun hand, you will undo or unlock the door. Most cars worldwide, if you take the door, left hand goes down to the seat belt catch. Be very careful pressing it. Now you lift the hand. As you exit the vehicle, remember, I have not taken my left hand. It's a ring, it's a bangle, it's a watch. Even the buckle of your watch, the strap, is going to shine the reflection. Be careful dropping that hand too many times. When the hand is down there, you might as well yank up the handbrake or take it out of gear.
Okay. Well, that's good advice.
Yeah,
I think calm. Don't scare the other person or the hijacker, and try and show him your hands most of the time.
Correct.
Valuable information. Actually, there's so much more we can talk about to give advice on, but we will put some tips on social media as well. And make it clear. I mean, afterwards, there's trauma involved in a situation like this. Should they or should they not get help? Because what is your...
Talk it out of your system. You have to get help, yes.
Professional help, because this could be, is it post-traumatic stress disorder, basically? Yes. So, guys, if this happens, you guys do get treatment for stress because it hits you later. Am I right?
Correct, yes.
And how do the listeners get hold of you? I mean,
you can go on
easy website,
correct.
and there you've got everything on your
Correct.
hijacking courses, information, everything.
And I would highly recommend going. I've been on one of the anti-hijack or hijack prevention courses.
Yes, for that lovely message on WeChat. Amazing show, very informative. Richard, thank you for that.
Pleasure.
Just to end it off, guys, this weekend, MotoGP. Remember to follow us on social media at SA Speed Queen
and at SA AutoTrader and at George Mienie.
Secret to a Balanced Life.